From those who fought on the front lines to the family they left at home, the Great War had an immense and unforgettable impact on the lives of millions of people. Now, 100 years on, individual stories are being kept alive by the very personal, very precious mementos and keepsakes that give us a memory of those dark days. This is my Great War heirloom. A draft copy of the Treaty of Versailles that belonged to British Prime Minister David Lloyd George. The treaty secured peace after the First World War, and it's a document that I've got a very personal connection to. David Lloyd George was the British Prime Minister during the later stages of the First World War. Leader of a coalition wartime government, he was instrumental in the drafting of the Treaty of Versailles. He was also my great-great-grandfather. I remember as a kid being amazed by my grand's stories about his humble background, being raised in this cobbler's shop in a tiny village in North Wales. And it is inspiring going from this to being the man that helped win the First World War and broker the Treaty of Versailles. The treaty was a peace document signed at the vast Palace of Versailles in France between the recently defeated Germany and the Allies. The fighting actually ended in November 1918, but it wasn't until June 1919 that a formal state of peace was declared between the two sides with the signing of this treaty. I've never seen the Treaty of Versailles, so I've come here to a small village in North Wales called Llantystwnwi, where my great-great-grandfather grew up. Because they've got something very special here, not the treaty itself, but Lloyd George's personal draft copy of it. This is a very special moment for me. I've never seen this before, certainly never handled it. This is incredible because part of me thinks this is one of the most important documents of modern history. It reshaped the map of Europe, but on a personal level, this is an incredible piece of my family history. This is my great-great-grandfather's role in bringing the First World War to an end and imposing peace on Germany. He signed it, D. Lloyd George, and you're at the date, May the 7th, 1919. So the treaty is divided into several sections. First of all, you've got what the Allies wanted to do with the German territory itself. Germany had been this vast empire right in the heart of Central Europe, but now bits of it would be given away. Big chunks of Germany now becoming pieces of France. Also here, Poland, enormous bits of Germany were given to the new state of Poland. This deals with trying to reduce Germany's military power. One of the big things they did was they completely destroyed the German Navy. The construction and acquisition of any submarine, even for commercial purposes, shall be forbidden in Germany. Of course, submarines have played a huge role in the First World War, almost bringing Britain to her knees. Article 231 deliberately sets out to blame Germany for the First World War. And once you've pinned the blame on Germany, then of course you can force them to pay for that damage. In the end, that figure is around about £6 billion. That's a lot of money today. Back then, it was an extraordinary amount of money, and it proved enormously unpopular in Germany. Even my great-great-grandfather, one of the architects of the treaty, thought it too harsh, saying, "We shall have to fight another war again in 25 years' time." It's amazing standing here nearly 100 years later and looking at this document, the treaty that ended World War I. The fact that my great-great-grandfather was one of the key authors of this document makes it a special piece of family history as well. And for that reason, this is my Great War heirloom.
Well, nobody can compete with that, can they? Typical Dan Snow from such good stock.